Hello there, this is Dr. Samurai, a professor in Japan specializing in international social pathology. And today's topic of my minute lecture is Mr. Nidal Hasan. Okay, so let's do it from some general information to information obtained from my personal transactions with him. Okay, so let's start with today's thug profile number 28. Okay, Mr. Nidal Hasan was born in 1970 in America. So he is currently just 50 years old. He used to be major of American Army and also a psychiatrist at the U.S. Army Medical Corps. That was his official position. Okay? And in 2009, at the Fort Hood military base, he killed 13 people and injured 32 people. So altogether, he shot 45 people at the Fort Hood military base. And at the court-martial, all the juries present agreed on his capital punishment without exception. And at this moment, he is now detained at Fort Leavenworth prison in Kansas State. Let's look into some more details. Okay, during the 6 years when he served for a medical center, according to his colleagues there, Hassan was socially isolated and he was clearly stressed out at treating the soldiers there. And also, he was really upset to hear what was really going on at the war zone. Remember, he was a psychiatrist, not those doctors who do operation and things like that. 1 month before he was deployed, he was going to be deployed to Afghanistan in 1 month. He started to give his possessions, most of them. And right before his incident at the Fort Hood, Hassan repeatedly complained about American policy at Middle East. It is also reported that there was some communications between Hassan and well-known leader Mr. Anwar, and it is also reported that there was some record of the communications between Mr. Hassan and one of the leaders of Al-Qaeda, but they were not communicating about things of danger. So at the court-martial, it was not judged terrorism, but as workplace violence. Even before, when Hassan was still at the resident of medical school, he was making a presentation to assert that conscientious objection to military service be allowed to maintain morale within the military, and also to keep anti-America movement down. So he was doing things even when he was a student of a medical school against attacking Middle East by the United States Army. Okay, and I would like to briefly introduce the conclusion of his presentation I mentioned just now. He says God requires loyalty from us by threatening us by the existence of hell. And number two, although Muslims are compromising in their everyday life, God actually is not happy about compromised life. And number three, I love Quran being I do not like to follow worldly customs of Muslims. Number four, it is permitted to use military power to establish Islamic State when it is necessary by God. And number five, we normally should avoid exposing Muslims to unnecessary danger or death, but it all depends on the situation. That's the conclusions of his presentation while he was a resident of his medical school. Okay, and then let's move on to part two of Mr. Nidal Hasan that I know. To be honest, there was a little bit high hurdle for me to pass when I first contacted especially Islamic terrorists, although he was not judged that way. But as I have said many times, my purpose of research is to study how to make the society truly peaceful. So, for that reason, I couldn't avoid contacting terrorists to learn what kind of thinking they have and what kind of personalities they are. Hassan's parents were the first generation immigrant from Palestine. They were pretty much successful in terms of business, operating grocery stores, restaurants, and olive oil business, and so on. Although both parents died around 50 years old, the oldest son of the family, Hassan, was able to graduate from high school and enter medical school of army. Okay, and he became a doctor. So at a glance, there was no higher success for an immigrant son to achieve than becoming a doctor in a new country. But I assume it was also clear that there must have been substantial pressure, either by words or unspoken message, on him to be successful in a new country. Okay? He became a doctor, psychiatrist in the American Army, right? But the U.S. Army is, culture-wise, quintessential America. It represents what the America is, its culture, So Hassan, although he was successful and deserved some respect as a doctor, was psychologically treated as some outsider because Hassan did not share what the other colleagues are really interested in. So he was, in that sense, socially isolated. That is to say, although, as his parents suggested, he tried his very best in America and actually succeeded in becoming a doctor in America. However, that world in which he won his success was not a world that was willingly accept him as part of the true member. Unspoken air of denying Islamic culture was filling the air inside where Hassan successfully arrived at. So it is like Hassan tried his best to succeed his own Palestine culture, and also try to be a real American at the same time. He did his very best to achieve those two. And in that process, I believe he lost his identity. He lost who he really was. And at such point of identity crisis, what accepted Hassan as he naturally was Islamic culture. So he decided to stand for that identity. Okay? However, he was in the end pushed into the corner of actually doing attacks on where he was really from, and there was kind of a self-breakdown inside Hassan's psychology, I think. He, as I have mentioned, asserted conscientious objection to serve, military, but it was not accepted, and he was going to be deployed to Afghanistan, actually be part of destroying, his native culture. So when he was pushed into that corner, all that was left to him was stop the attacks on his true identity, which was shooting around military people at Fort Hood base. It was kind of short story, but I think you understood the basic mechanism of why he felt he had to do what he actually did. Although he tried his best and he achieved his success, still he was not fully accepted, and he was forced to attack his native identity to prove he is a real American. And that, I think, he could not take psychologically. I am not suggesting anything, but we really need to think about those dynamics that work behind his acts. And we have to think about sort of fixing things, not to cause the same sad consequence. I would be very happy if you would think about this as an American. Up until next time, I would like you to have a wonderful time. Okay? Bye bye now.